Now, whereas a freshman in medical school is a lost and frightened soul, by the time a boy is a sophomore, he has gotten his feet on the ground and pretty well learned his way around. Most of them can get from the med school to the dorm and back unassisted. But things are beginning to look up. You still have mostly labs and lectures, but you get to buy a little black bag and some equipment and try it out on one another. And the purpose of this is to show you that metal, even at room temperature, feels cold in certain places. It gives you appreciation of the patient side of this thing. But then that big day arrives. It's the day that they turn you loose on the real live patients. Your first day to put on your little white coat, go over in the hospital on the ward, and take a history. You know, you put on the little white coat and check yourself in the mirror. Make sure that just the right amount of stethoscope is emerging from the pocket. You wished you looked a little older. Maybe dyeing my temples would help, or maybe even horn-rimmed glasses. But you pick up your little black bag and off you go. You're floating on cloud nine. Oh, if Mama could see me now. Her little boy. Now look at him, stamping out disease. Part of the big picture. Maybe someday he'll get to join that group of 5 New York doctors. Well, anyway, you're walking along, you know, and you're trying like mad to look casual and knowing all the time you're not bringing it off you. You know, you try to whistle and nothing comes out and everybody's looking at you. Then all of a sudden you panic. You forgot your history form. And you check and make sure, and sure enough, you did bring it along. You breathe a sigh of relief. Let's see now, maybe I ought to go over this thing one more time. Chief complaint. That's the answer in the patient's own words to a question such as, what seems to be your trouble? I got that. Present illness. Give a chronologic story of the illness in terms of quality, duration, severity, and precipitating factors. Oh, the devil with it. I'll never be able to remember all this. I'll just have to hide it where the patient can't see me looking at it. And you get down on the ward, and the resident takes you in and introduces you to the victim. Mr. Jones, this is Dr. Smertlitz. Yeah, this is Dr. Smertlitz, and he'd like to ask you a few questions. He's a specialist in your kind of trouble. The patient says, oh, no, that's the 4th specialist. Well, the resident leaves the room, and then comes that awkward silence. You smile at the patient, he sneers at you, and you put the little black bag down on the table, and you're shuffling in it, taking things out and putting them back. And what you're really trying to do is avoid looking this fellow dead in the eye, because he's got an expression on his face that's saying, boy, if you're a specialist, I'm Ren 1010. And you're cursing yourself, you know, because you didn't read this stuff on bedside technique more carefully. And all you can think is, you know, if this is transference, this guy really hates his father. But the bad part about it is that you look so young, he's relating to you as his son, and that doesn't help either one of you. Anyway, you finally get yourself seated down at the end of the bed, and now you're ready. Mr. Jones, what seems to be your trouble? Mr. Jones says, nothing. Mr. Jones, you don't have any trouble? Nah. Oh, I see. You mean you're well now? Yeah. Oh, that's fine, Mr. Jones, but I wonder, would you tell me, what was your trouble? Ingrown toenail taken off, going home tomorrow. Oh, fine, Mr. Jones, very good. Now, I wonder, would you give me a chronologic story of your illness in terms... Mr. Jones says, what? Oh, you know, Mr. Jones, tell me about your ingrown toenail, all about it, when it started and how bad. Oh, you know everything. Boy, I've told that story a dozen times. If you want to know, go out and read the chart. Well, by now you're getting just a wee bit peeved, but you can't show it, you know. Gotta watch that countertransference. Well, about this time, a nurse comes bounding into the room and plops the thermometer in the patient's mouth and gives you what is unmistakably a derogatory glance and hustles right back out. And you continue, yes, Mr. Jones, I could go out and read the chart. That's true, but it's so much more valuable if we get the information from you firsthand. And Mr. Jones says, oh, that's all right, Mr. Jones. With the thermometer in your mouth, I can't understand what you're saying, thank heaven. Well, you wait, and you're looking at your watch every 5 or 10 seconds, and after 6 or 8 minutes, you've gotten pretty impatient, you know, and you get to thinking, maybe I ought to take it out. I wonder if she'd trust me to read it. Well, finally, the nurse comes back in, and she takes the thermometer out, and as she starts to leave the room, she looks at you for the second time and says, Smertlitz, you're about through, aren't you? This fella has some visitors waiting outside. Whereupon Mr. Jones sits up in the bed and says, oh, fine, that's my brother Joe and all his family. Show 'em in. Well, you've had it. That's enough. The last straw. The hell with the countertransference. Nurse, you tell those people to wait. I'll be through in a minute. Mr. Jones, you lie back down. I don't care if you did just have an ingrown toenail. I don't care if you are going home tomorrow. You've got to tell me about your sex life.